Hi, y'all. My name is Brene, and this is gonna be my first video ever on this channel. And I just had a spur of the moment, like probably 5 minutes ago to start this channel. I don't know, something just reached out to me. It was like, you need to start your channel. I've been wanting to start a channel for forever, but I don't know, I don't know. So, yeah, I'll tell you a little bit about myself first. I have two daughters. My first one is 2 years old. Her name is Ariella. And my second daughter, she's only 3 months old. Um, and her name is Leah. I am married, and I moved from Illinois to North Carolina about a year ago, and I don't regret it. Y'all will learn a lot more about me, later on, and as to why I moved and what happened. Like, I got some real tea. Like, y'all gonna be like, but yeah. So, yeah, I've been here for about a year, and it's cool. It's cool. It's all right. I definitely learned a lot about myself, like a lot. But we will get off into all of that, um, later on down the line. But today's topic, I want to discuss how did I overcome my depression and anxiety, no medication. Um, so first, before I do that, I want to give you all like a little backstory on how I developed this stuff anyway. Um, some things are just genetic, you know what I mean? But this stuff, like depression and anxiety, that stuff is built up over time from trauma, you know what I mean? Childhood trauma. Um, I was always a timid kid. I didn't have that much confidence. I wasn't really taught, confidence. And this is not to throw, my parents under the bus or anything like that. That's not what I'm here to do. But, fact is fact. Um, I wasn't taught confidence, how to speak up for yourself. Um, most of us, especially black people, we were taught, if somebody hits you, hit them back. And that's that, you know what I mean? But there's other ways to go about sticking up for yourself without having to even go there. You know what I mean? Just having that presence, that respectable presence, but yeah, so I didn't have that much confidence in myself. I compared myself to people all the time. I didn't really have my own identity. So, I felt like I had to pretty much do what everybody else is doing just to fit in. I didn't have an identity, it's like, and eventually I started to disassociate with my inner being, my inner wisdom. That's what happens. Believe it or not, people don't understand how mental illnesses are actually a reflection of your soul or spirit. You know what I mean? Yes, there's two different things. Soul and spirit is different. Um, so I disassociated with my inner being at a really, really early age. And sometimes disassociation can be caused by uh, you not feeling safe to be who you are at heart. You know what I mean? Um, or what you have to say is never valued. You're always overlooked. Rejected and things like that. At a young age, that survival mechanism will start kicking in, and you know it affects different people differently, but my mechanism was to abandon myself and do what everybody else is doing. You know what I mean? Their hairstyles and the clothes that they wear. You know what I mean? I didn't start my own trends. I followed everybody else's trends. I'm sorry, y'all. That's my annoying washer and dryer that I can't figure out how to turn the music setting off. But anyway, um, yeah. So as a kid, I had been living like this for a very long time up into high school, just real disassociated with myself. Like, I didn't have an identity. I really didn't. Like, I didn't know what I liked to do. I only did what either my mom wanted me to do. Um, I was in like, now I genuinely do love piano, but I was in like violin classes, orchestra. I played the piano. I was in art classes, and uh, I did ballet as well. I had all type of stuff going on, and I was always really, really good in school, like, real smart, always had good grades, and was a good girl, because I saw what will happen if I wasn't, from my brother. Um, I'm not going to put his business out there, but, so like I said, as a kid, your your protective mechanism is to do what you feel is going to keep you safe. And for me at the time, what kept me safe was being somebody that I wasn't. Now, you all might be like, what? Like, keep you safe? How is that keeping you safe? Because at the time, imagine if I hadn't. You know what I mean? And that's where self forgiveness comes from. A lot of people beat up on themselves. Well, why didn't I just fight back? Or why didn't I do this? Or why didn't I do that? Okay, imagine if you would have. What would have happened? You know what I mean? Um, Imagine what would have happened. And a lot of people don't know this, but I have been bullied a lot. Like, I was always talked about, like, for no reason. I never even uttered a word to people, and they would just be real mean, like just real nasty for no reason. Always counting me out. Um, talked about my clothes, my hair, how skinny I was, how light skinned I was, like even how smart I was, like just anything they could say. Uh, you look like Rihanna, Willow Smith, all type of crazy names. Um, just all type of stuff, and that just really made me feel like nobody saw me for me. I never had that time to be myself. I didn't, so eventually it just became natural for me to develop this false personality. I started switching up how I talk, started like using more profanity, um, gossiping, talking about topics that really didn't interest me just to fit in, and it was really wearing me down. Like that, eventually, if y'all keep this act up to where you can't be authentic with who you really are and accept who you are. I'm not saying that you can't change things about yourself. I'm not saying that at all. But you still have to accept yourself, the good and the bad, all of you. You have to. Um, that's what forgiveness is, accepting. You know, so that's what I had to do, and it took me a long time. It took me, and I don't want to make it seem like my child is a burden or anything, because she's not. But it took me a child later, a real, real toxic, abusive relationship, um, being broke, and all of that. It took me so many lessons and L's that I had to take for me to be able to learn, you know, to get on the right track. I, for a while, I was like an atheist, and you know, I'm not knocking atheists. Hey, do you? But at the time, I just felt like, there can't possibly be no God after all that I've been through. There can't be no there cannot possibly be a God if he's excuse me, if he's allowing all of this to happen. So I used to wake up and cry like every morning because I felt ugly. I didn't like myself at all, not one bit. Like, I hated myself. I hated myself. I would do things to myself um, that just was not a reflection of self love, physically, mentally, spiritually, all of that. Stayed in messed up situations, relationships, smoked weed all day, didn't want to do anything. Just I was really depressed. I was really down, especially going through, an abusive, just negative relationship. Um, yeah. So, after all of that, I don't know what it was, and I will never forget it. Never. It was one day I woke up crying, like this pain that I don't know. I was just pleading, like pleading. I prayed to God for the first time, and really probably my very first time. I was probably 17, 18 years old. I had my own apartment. Um, I stayed with my ex or whatever, and I was just tired of feeling the way that I was feeling. I was tired of the suicide attempts. I was tired of just, I don't know, I just felt like, if these suicide attempts aren't working, God must have a purpose for me, or God must really want me to stay here. So I prayed. I just dropped down on my knees and I prayed and I pleaded. And I told God, like, God, I'm so sorry. Um, and I kind of tried to like bargain with God, like, if I keep my faith, can you please get me out of this situation? Or can you, lift me up? Can you get me out of this situation? And, I told God, as long as I have my faith, can you just please stay with me? And it's like instantly after that prayer, I felt instantly like something was flowing through me, like just, I don't know, some type of spiritual presence that flowed through me. I'll never forget it. And I felt like my prayer was answered. Like, that was the very first time that I felt that uh, I was getting the help that I needed. So yeah, that was if I was to write a book, I would definitely put that in there because I will never forget it. Um, yeah, so after that, my life definitely had been improving in small, subtle ways. Like looking on the outside in, you might not have seen it as such, such a big deal, but I started getting up again. I started doing, I would just wear baggy clothes all day, baggy sweatpants, and my hair was all over the place, and big old t-shirts, and haven't showered in days. You know what I mean? Haven't ate. I was losing so much weight. Had real bad dark circles under my eyes and stuff like that. It was horrible. It was horrible. And I had like, it just seemed like nobody noticed. Nobody noticed. That's what, my mom eventually she started noticing. But other than that, nobody else really cared to notice. I'm just keeping it real. Um, yeah, nobody cared to notice. But after I did that prayer, I started getting up again and keeping my hair done, and being more fresh and cooking and being more cheerful, you know. Now, I'm not saying that this prayer did a quick fix for everything. It didn't, but at the same time, it got the ball going. It was like fuel for my car. It got things up and running again. It took a few years. I'm not gonna lie, because I did, through programming, subconscious programming, and negative beliefs, and still not having like that good self esteem. I kept going back to, the toxic situation. I kept doing it, kept doing it to myself. Um, and This man that I follow on YouTube, a great pastor. I'm not Christian, but I love him. His name is R.C. Blakes. I suggest women, especially, to listen to him. He said, wait, hold on, let me think. I be forgetting sometimes. I be forgetting just like that. I swear, I don't know. But what did that man say? I don't know, y'all. But he really did help. Listening to him and getting my self esteem back and things like that. That really helped. So anyway, uh, oh yeah, R.C. Blakes. He said, for you to be able to cut a negative soul tie, you're gonna have to go through some pain, and you are going to have to. God is gonna put you in a situation to where you don't have like no choice but to cut this soul tie. You know what I mean? Like something real devastating has to happen for you to cut this soul tie, because you ain't gonna have no choice. The last straw for me in this toxic situation was, you know, my ex had two situations actually. My ex had stole my car, knowing I had to go to work to provide for our daughter. Took my car and my keys. Then, um, then he did that. Took my car and my keys, and then we got robbed. That was like the last straw for me. I'm not gonna say got robbed because they didn't take anything, but they broke in, and my daughter was in the, my baby was in there. That was the last straw for me. God put me in a situation to where I didn't have a choice but to wake up. Finally, after that, I was done. And we had a relationship for like 5 years. It took that long, but I was a kid. Like at that time, I really didn't even have no business dating nobody. But yeah. So that's just a little insight of, a little a small, very small portion of my life and what I had been through. Um, Now let's go to the how to. How to get rid of this anxiety and depression. For one, depression is the opposite. I'm sorry. Depression is the opposite of expression. You need to express yourself authentically. Depressed people don't feel heard. Um, they don't feel valued. They're rejected, most of the time. Um, or they just don't have a zest for life. They don't know how to get things going. You know what I mean? Um, and it's all here. When you have a trauma mentality or you're depressed, you see things differently. You don't see things from a healthy viewpoint. You see things from a very negative viewpoint. Like everything around you is like gray. That's how it is. Your body is all sluggish. You don't have no energy to do nothing. You don't feel like getting up, going nowhere. You barely feel like getting up, going to take a shower. You have to put yourself in a mindset It's a mindset change. Whatever you want, you have to become that. Don't wait until tomorrow. You have to wait until today. I mean, wait, do it today, Like, for example, right? Say if you've been depressed, Oh yeah, I'm sorry. I'm moving a little way too fast. Get to the root of your depression. Where did it come from? What's causing you these feelings? Like, where, as far back as you can remember, when did this start and why? And who all was involved? Who was involved? You don't just become depressed out of nowhere. Things build up over time. So you have a story and you have to go back, you know. Um, it could be anything, big or small, or what seems to be big or small according to society, because a lot of us are taught that, oh, that's small, or you shouldn't be tripping. That's just little stuff. But if it matters to you and if it's causing you mental, um, just mental issues, yes, that's a big deal. You know, you need to heal your spirit. You need a spiritual connection. Uh you need a spiritual connection as well. That's what you need. Everybody has a spirit, and that spirit is God that lives within you. That's who you are, your own authentic self, and it's your job to express that. And this is how most of us express it. Most of us express things in a healthy way through, divine feminine energy, which, I'll go over later on down the line, divine masculine energy.